Hello, welcome to the show. I'm Karen Crow Weinstein. Hello, welcome. I've been away from the camera for a little while. I had some experiences, and I want to share my experience that I had just recently. I'm going to start off saying this. The war between us is not between us. The war is between us, Republican, Democrat, against the devil. The devil makes us go against one another. And let me explain that. I'm going to tell you what happened to me. And then at the end of the show, I think you're going to agree with me. 3 weeks ago, I received a call. My mother-in-law was very sick. She needed us. So we went to the airport that night, the very next morning, first flight out to Florida to be with her. She was quite ill. I was at Hartford Airport. It's actually, the name of the airport is Bradley International Airport. I was going onto the plane. Well, as I was screened, something showed up on the monitor. And it was they had to check it physically. And they touched all around my breasts to make sure I wasn't having anything illegal on me in the bra area. It was not a nice thing. People, there's no leader ever to allow us to do that to each other. No physical leader that would really allow this to happen to one another. So they touched me. And when I was talking to the transit TSA, I looked at the man and he said, "I hate this, what we're doing to each other." His words were, "I hate this too." So, they patted me down, felt very uncomfortable. Somehow, my license was taken away from my wallet, I'm not sure, my driver's license. But they made an announcement when we went back to, it was at a podium. I walked up on it. All the TSA and screening was taking place before me, and I was at a higher level. And I found it. And the thought came to me like this. This is an example, a really good example of what the devil is having us do against each other. And I wanted to say this. When I was being patted down, the two women felt great because they did such a good job checking me to make sure I don't have anything in my bra area to do harm with others. And they felt good about what they did, touching my breasts. And I look over to the side and I see that the devil was laughing at me. Those TSA women followed orders and did the will of the devil. Face it, people. It's time to come to terms with evil. And let me continue on. The war is not between us, Republican, Democrats. The war is between the Republicans, Democrats, or other people against the devil, against evil. There's more of us than there are of them. We've been eliminating evil for a very long time. That's why we're here, all of us, to stand up together against all evil. I understand why you're upset and nervous about this. talking about the devil, evil, Satan, many dirty, evil entities. And I'll give you an example about what evil is all about. My sister Laura and my brother David, they're born and raised a Catholic. Is there a connection between Catholic and evil? It started off being a cult thousands of years ago. They only named it as a church because the number of people who are participants in this church. And a lot of people, mostly Republicans, who follow the ways of the Catholic Church, which is not my way of living. And call it evil. At the funeral, my aunt had a funeral. My sister said bad things to everybody about me. She did bad things to me. And then they stand there, oh, we'll take care of you, Karen. They're not taking care of me. She said all the spiritualism that I have was bad, and she had the people mock it and laugh at it. Laugh at me. My nephew never met my aunt who passed, but my sister arranged it so he could be a pallbearer. He never met her. My sister told me bad things, that my brother had cancer, was end stage. And that didn't bother me because he did his work and he was allowed to leave the third dimension. So my sister said bad things. And it was another funeral. My cousin went to them, told them all my ideas and thoughts about spiritualism. And they laughed at me and mocked me. And I stood there and just looked at them. This is interesting, I said to myself. They didn't know about me, or all my ideas and thoughts about my spiritualism, good and evil? Apparently not. Until that day they were told to mock me and laugh at me. I was just dumbfounded. Then I learned to find out that I was put towards that way, towards me, from my sister again. It happened at my aunt's funeral, and it happens to my cousin's family. People, it's time. So when I spoke at that podium, this is what I also thought, telling these people, all of them, the TSA and the passengers, do we really have to live this way? Who's dictating to us to do this to one another, to do bad? And make you think and fear that's the worst, that's a bad thing I'm doing to another person. But I got it to do anyway. The Marines in World War II. Saw a little glimpse of this when they were televising about the war between the Japanese and the Americans. The Japanese were ruthless. What they had to do, tied two Marines together, brothers. These guys save each other, protect each other, work together to get the mission done. They had them tied at each hand, right with the left, left with the right. And then they had to fight each other. And if they didn't fight, they got whipped. And they're crying. Because they have to beat up their brother, their sister, in arms. A man in that war with Japan, they put the man in a ditch. A man had to shovel a ditch, and he put one of his comrades in the ditch, and he had to bury his brother. He had to put the shovel and the dirt on him. And the dirt on him to bury him alive. We must not forget these things, people. That was pure evil. That's not the American way. That's not the way us Americans treat one another. So the war is not between Republicans and Democrats. These issues are created by the evil that's in our country. Remember, the war is not between the two presidents. The war is between us and all evil. We must eradicate evil on this dimension, the third dimension, the physical plane of the universe. In my past shows, I did show you how to eliminate evil, to take that evil entity out from it someone being possessed by evil, and because they jump us and then they take control and they make you do something bad. And then a woman, she was a police officer, was in the wrong apartment, and she shot her neighbor thinking she was in her apartment and he was an intruder. She got 10 years in jail. The judge was crying. And the judge says, I don't want to do this to you, but I have to. This woman was able to hug the man's son, because the son said, she's a wonderful lady. It shouldn't have happened. She had a bad moment. And this is the son of the man she shot. The son. There's a bit of evil in that. I'm saddened that this happens to our Americans. How about the people we look upon as white supremacists? Are they? Or is that an image that's looked upon as supremacists? The evil teaches them what they want them to know, and when they control you, you open yourself up to that. They control you. You could end up hurting someone, or yet end up hurting yourself. We must take control of our thoughts. Don't let the evil in. Take control of the bad thoughts. Recognize that the thoughts are coming from elsewhere, not your own thought, and it's not your own thinking. Control it. And what I want you to do every night, before you go to bed, say to yourself, I am a good person. I will not allow evil to run my life. I'm going to keep any evil entity from entering my body. And what that is called being jumped. This is the war we must fight. And in our country, we got many, many beautiful people. And we're weak against the devil. I have a question for you. With what my sister did to me, and she did it several times, and she laughed. Do you realize 6 months later, she had a stroke? Is that her punishment from God for her behavior? My mom died, and my sister and my brother, David, were very bad to me. David appeared to have attached to him a warlock, and my sister was a witch. They mocked me and laughed at me. It didn't feel good. My brother had attached to him was a warlock. That's the only explanation I have for why they turned on me. They did that all my life. They laughed and mocked me, and they wouldn't listen. But I talk of words that were uplifting, positive all my life. Saying good things to each other. And what did I get in return? Laughter. People do tricks against me. I think it's funny. Don't do that anymore, people. Treat me good. Treat me right. Just realize we're up against the devil, Satan. Recognize your actions. Make sure you always know your thoughts. Know where the thoughts are coming from. Happens to me. I had blurted out something, and I don't know where it came from, and the people I said it to were shocked that I said such words. And I apologized. And now I'm telling you, those thoughts didn't come from me. I was jumped, and my body and mind and voice were used in a negative way. They were not my intentions. People, when I was on that podium, and I told everybody, just drop what you're doing and walk away. What would have happened? What would the police have done to me if I said, just stop and let's just walk away? And then, by doing that, you have no money, you have no job. People, this is the transition that we're going through financially. Because then, if you lost your job, all those people who stepped off and it went viral, the people at the grocery store don't charge you for the food. You don't have to pay your mortgage anymore. You have no money. The government will provide shelter. The people will provide food for one another. And in other stores, maybe some items wouldn't be charged, and your account will not be drained all that fast. And that's the start of our transition. Remember I said that? We're going to work 32 hours a week for all essentials. You could work at your job or another job. You could go and play with your children. I spoke to two men, white males. They weren't white supremacists. They just wanted to be treated right and be given a good life. These men had very bad clothing on. They were dirty, worked hard, and they liked what I said. You're going to get shelter. You're going to get food. You're going to get medical. You're going to get clothing. You're going to be stayed warm or stayed cool. All given to you for doing 32 hours of work. Now look at the transition. Do you see what was happening? If I spoke up, just walk away. Now you people have to defend one another, and when you get to the cash register for the food, hey, go ahead, take that leg of lamb. Go ahead and take that chicken. Buy some candy. Okay, I'm not going to charge you. Take only what you need, not what you want. Take what you need. Only. So this is how we're going to bond together. The companies will make sure you have AC, electricity, everything. That might have been a turning point on behalf of all Americans in this country who are middle class, lower middle class, below poverty. It's us that needs to take the change. And I'm going to talk about this. in next shows how we're going to go through the process. If you walked away from that job in that terminal, in the airport, and the TSA stopped what they're doing and walked away and did what we normally do when going on planes with your luggage, but not being patted down like me. We shouldn't be treating each other like that. Sort of like the Marines tied at the wrist together and have to fight each other or be whipped or tortured. Isn't there a simile between that? What is going on with the Republicans? What is going on with the Republicans? What Republican in Congress or Senate what do they do? How can they say, when we're going through the impeachment with the then President Trump, we support him and like him, I don't support him, having the helicopter propellers, the wind to disperse the crowd. That is not the American way. They do that in other countries. We don't do that with each other. We don't do that to each other. That's not the American way. We are the leaders of the world. Let's push peace towards everybody instead of violence, hate, and anger. That is subliminal, with subliminal messages given to you to fight with one another. Don't do it, people. Fight off that desire to hurt others. Think about what you're saying. Think about what you're doing. Like I said, us, all of us, come together and we will become one. In the spiritual world, we are fighting evil. So soon, once all that evil is taken away, we're going to start having better thoughts. And the people who do, like my sister Laura did to me, that won't happen again. Because there's no one there to tell you to do that to another person, let alone their sister. This is our country. And we're going to live in peace. You saw, I talked to you about it. The transition is occurring. It is occurring. It's happening. Be not afraid. Fight off those abnormal, these are negative thoughts. Be careful. And don't be afraid to apologize and make things better. And just tell them, those are not my words. They didn't come from me. And hug each other, knowing it was the devil, Satan, that put those thoughts into your mind. Just like Japan did to our soldiers, our Marines, to fight against each other when they look upon each other as brothers, have a strong bond with one another, and now they have to fight each other. That's what goes on in our country, not only as a militant, but also in our own lives, our own living selves. That's what we're doing to each other in our country, America, the United States of America. Thank you. Pay attention. It's the devil that's being mean and making bad things happen to each of us, to all of us. It's not your fault. It's the evil that did that to you. Let's join up together, unite together, and fight the evil that's on this planet. I will do another show, and I will talk about the devil and the Satan, so that you'll have some information you could share for yourself and or others to combat the evil. God bless everybody. You have a nice night, have a nice day, and God bless.